Good afternoon, everybody.
Hello,
Hi,
hello.
everyone.
There
Hi,
we
Max. Hi,
are.
Jeff.
Hey, Nicole,
Welcome in. Hey, Nicole.
Jeff, Chris. Nice familiar faces out there.
Good stuff.
Just give people a minute or two to come in. We did not know that so many people would want to come along to this today. So we are pleasantly surprised.
Yes, happily surprised.
We had to redo the whole presentation to accommodate. No, we didn't really. These things are scalable,
Thankfully.
thankfully.
Good. Okay. Well, Max, we still have people kind of rolling in. I'll keep
We
track
do.
of folks and I'll keep
Yeah.
inviting
I'll
them.
also keep an eye. Do you wanna kick us off?
I do very much. Yeah, I'd love to get this going. And we've got a lot to cover today, folks. So that's great. But welcome. It's wonderful to have you here with us to speak about our career development roadmap workshop. That was the brainchild, if you will, of Max Blumberg. And this is going to be a terrific session that I think you're going to get a lot out of. And I think it's also going to be a very, very pertinent topic going forward, certainly for the next several years, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But this is all about Max's design around the three phases, the 5 dimensions, and 90 minutes that could change your career trajectory. So with that, can you just flip to the next slide?
Ah.
Just a couple of housekeeping elements. If you wouldn't mind, and could you stay muted as we go through the presentation? The total timing of this event will be about 90 minutes, and we will have some time for Q&A at the end. But we definitely want to encourage you to ask questions as we go along. And if you could do that in the chat there with Zoom, and basically just annotate your question with 2 asterisks. That would be super helpful, just so it kind of stands out to me, and I'll be monitoring that as we go through. And if there's anything pertinent and kind of like specific to that moment, I will shout it out to either Max or Nicole, and make sure that we get your questions answered just as soon as possible. Okay, next one, Max. So getting started, today's agenda, let me just kind of quickly go through it. We're going to go through some introductions, and you're going to get to know the 3 of us. Dave Milner, a dear friend of ours, has offered us a book giveaway, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And then we're going to do a quick poll, which is, what is your biggest career challenge? So start to kind of get your brains, your wheels, if you will, kind of cranking about that one. And then we're going to speak about the framework itself, and we're going to go through the 3 phases, as I mentioned before. Where do you want to go? Where are you now? And how are you going to get there? Okay. And then finally, we're going to end with what's next in terms of a post-workshop toolkit download. We're going to talk, Max is going to speak a little bit about a beta program invitation, and we're looking for 10 lucky participants to join us for that. And then we're going to get to the Q&A. Max, thanks.
Cool.
So let's talk a little bit about why you are different. Okay, and this is important. Look, we want to applaud you for being here in the first instance, right? It signals that you're chasing down a solution and preparing yourself against what feel like tectonic changes in how we work in terms of our jobs and organizational restructuring and reengineering here in sort of the AI revolution era. As many of you may have read, the World Economic Forum published this incredible jobs report, kind of talking about what's going to happen, say, between now and 2030, only 5 years away. And they predicted, interestingly, and a lot of people are following up with similar predictions, that as many as 170 million new jobs will be created as a result of the AI revolution. But having said that, unfortunately, that is going to be displaced by what they think will be somewhere around 92 million current jobs. So that's a net growth of 7%. That's great. That's 78 million jobs. Having said that, it's a heck of a lot less than possibly we thought before. So this is not also going to happen with any level of synchronicity, right? It's going to appear unbalanced. It's going to be seemingly random, and it's definitely going to be disruptive. And so these are early days, Okay, but having said that, AI, geopolitical instability, macroeconomic headwinds, and uncertainty and lack of predictability are massive factors that are going to affect each and every one of us in terms of our careers going forward. So the fact that you're here tells us that you see the chaos too, right? And that you're wanting very much to prepare as proactively as possible. So we're thrilled that you've made it. We're thrilled that you're here with us. And we want to help you structure and frame your career trajectory to see the signal through the noise, right? And we're thrilled that you've joined us, and let's get to it.
Thank you. Incredibly, my machine has frozen up here,
Oh.
Nicole, on a moment critique. Can you possibly take over the share, Nicole? Oh,
Max, do you have to stop sharing?
if I can you hear me?
Oh, you are frozen. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, let me try and stop the share. Sorry. Nicole, you should be able to take over the share with any luck. Jeff, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine, Max.
Can you hear me?
Yep, give me 1 second and I will start sharing.
The master is in control. Sorry for the technical difficulties, folks. We shall be with you in just 2 secs. Brilliant. And here we are.
Hi.
Lovely. Cool. So why you're here, why this workshop matters. Okay. Look, most of us operate, and as I certainly did personally, with relatively vague goals and not a particularly clear strategy. In fact, I would say the entirety of my career was probably more opportunistic and kind of referral based more than anything else. Traditional coaching, career planning, and things of that nature, trying to keep pace with today's work environment, it's difficult. Gen AI is now a thinking partner, something that we can kind of rely on to kind of help us reframe things, to think differently, and possibly, spark new ways and new creative approaches to what it is we're trying to do. So that's going to be super helpful. And this workshop will introduce the sort of repeatable process that uses Gen AI architecture to kind of help you drive your next career move. So look, we all know this. Without strategy, good performance becomes drift. Okay. Clarity on your goals, doesn't guarantee you any kind of forward momentum. So this is a focus challenge. And the idea now is that most professionals are optimizing for this now, not necessarily building for tomorrow. So Gen AI kind of enables unprecedented insight, but without the structure, it's just noise again in the system. So the CD roadmap is really your structure. That's why we're here. That's why we're going to talk about it, to help you think clearly and move intentionally. Next slide, please. So here we go. Some quick introductions. I'm not going to bore you to tears with this, but overall, I have 35 years, believe it or not, of HR leadership experience, spanning industries like investment banking and consulting and high growth technology and a bit of pharma, as well as some biotech. Last 21 years over here in the UK as an American just living outside London, I have been laser focused on working with hypergrowth tech and biotech companies and basically helping them build out their people strategies and everything else. And technology always ever was a big part of that. So I've fallen in love with the HR technology market. And then AI came along and I was over the moon because the applications for artificial intelligence in the realm of HR and the realm of helping us individually as professionals is massive. So next one, Nicole, I'm going to hand it over to you and let you introduce yourself.
Hi, so I am Nicole Lettich. I lead people analytics at NASDAQ. And throughout my career, I've been able to really blend working with people, working with technology, and also overseeing a lot of change management. So I would say my passion really sits at the intersection of those three things. I've been fortunate to serve as a mentor for many people within the organization and also externally. And that's given me an opportunity to really share tools that I've used in my career to help them approach their career development in a very structured way and with clarity. So now I'm going to turn it over to Max.
Thank you. Great. So I'm Max Blumberg. Apologies, I'm coming in on another machine. Technical gremlins. So I'm a people analytics. Apparently, I'm known as a people analytics thought leader. I'm not quite sure how that happened, but I have the great privilege of working with companies and people like Nicole um, at NASDAQ. And I love coming up with new people analytics solutions. And of late, the whole thing of career development. By background, I'm a psychologist. And my original qualification before I became a psychologist was actually in AI, of all things. And so the whole world is coming full circle, from AI to psychology and career development. And now the opportunity to apply AI to career development is absolutely fascinating. So I'm delighted to be able to do that. So Nicole, you may need to share on ChatGPT if I can't get mine up and running. Would you be able to do that when we get to the moment critique?
Yes.
Okay, I'll
Amazing.
try and go while Jeff is talking about with the book.
Wonderful. Good. Thank you, guys. Appreciate the intros. So listen, for our big giveaway today, we are going to, for the hardest working attendee, I'm not quite sure or you qualify for that, but we're looking for questions. We're looking for participation. We're looking for thoughts and insights. So for our hardest working attendee, we will be sharing with you a book gifted to us by Dave Milner, a guy I met many moons ago whilst he was at IBM, working on the Watson project back in the day when we were actually fooling around and messing around with AI in people analytics. And obviously, Dave has gone from strength to strength and has put together this terrific book. It's a wonderful primer, and so yeah, we will be announcing the winner at the end of the session. Okay, next one. And just to kick things off, as we would like to do, we would like very much to launch a poll. I'm speaking as I'm doing it. There we go. I hope everybody can see that on their screens. And this is the question being your career development challenge, right? What's the biggest career development challenge right now for you? And if you could just take a couple of minutes and just go ahead and fill that in a couple of seconds, hopefully, to fill that in, and we'll just kind of go through the results at the end. That would be wonderful. Very much appreciate that. We're getting close. We're 54% participation, and it's ramping up. You guys are awesome.
Indeed.
70%. It's going and going. We're almost there, folks. 75%. Well done. Okay, looks like we're kind of like frozen in that spot. So if it's okay, well, a couple more entries. Max is back online.
Yeah,
to 80%, that's great. Okay, with that, I'm just going to go ahead and end the poll, and I'm going to share the results. So here's where we kind of ultimately end up, folks. It looks as if the overall winner is planning my next career move and transition. I suspect a lot of people probably find themselves in that position. We then kind of follow that up with future-proofing my skill set, and good grief, there has never been a more important time than doing that, for sure. And so then we talk about gaining clarity on career direction. Absolutely. I suspect folks are feeling rather adrift at the moment. And so that's always ever going to be a challenge. And then finally, developing strategic leadership skills. Absolutely. That is something we should never stop doing, of course. And then finally, integrating AI into my career strategy, which is interesting. So that was the lowest recorded element at 21%. Hopefully, after this session, you will probably have changed your mind a little bit in terms of the power of generative AI and how that can help. Max, anything, or Nicole, anything you wanted to add to these results?
No, I agree. These are all timely topics. So.
Indeed. Max?
What I would add to that is that I think we're going to see this idea of planning and making move transitions becoming more frequent. We'd already seen it in the last couple of years before the AI transformation. In other words, before this risk that AI would either take away our job, and the jury is still out. But we were certainly seeing, as generations from Gen X to Gen Y to Gen Z, we were starting to see the transitions happening a lot more often until the norm came down. Nicole, where is it? About 18 months or something like that, average in a role before people move nowadays?
That's about right.
Something like that. And I think we're going to see a whole new world. It may not even be that you have a role. It may be that, for example, fractional roles start becoming more of a thing. You may find that you're encouraged to be more of an entrepreneur than before. So I think there are a whole bunch of factors that are going to come into play there. So yeah, thanks, Jeff.
No
You have
worries. Agreed.
another question?
No, I think we go ahead and move on, and let's get busy and get deep into the model and stay on
let's
time.
start showing it. Okay, I'll just close there. Nicole,
Cool.
I think I'm going to take a chance and risk sharing my screen again. And hope it stays.
Yeah, it looks like we can see the presentation. That's great.
Good. Okay, so the idea of this roadmap framework that I've been or that we've been talking about for some time now. Whenever you're in business or you're doing something in a work environment, or in fact in your own life, I always tackle it by asking 3 simple questions, and I commend these questions to you as a wonderful way of solving just about any problem. And we're going to apply them this afternoon to your careers. The first question is, you ask, where do I want to go? Now, that's not just where I want to go in terms of my career, but you could say, where do I want my company to go? Or where do I want this relationship to go, etc. But the key is, where do I want to go? The next question is to say, where am I now? Because unless you know where you are now, it's very difficult to know how you're going to get there. They say, how can you get there? Or they say, well, it depends where you're starting from. So it's critical to understand yourself really well now. And you'll see how the roadmap helps you with that. And once you know where you want to go and you know where you are now, well, then the next question is logically, how do I get from where I am now to where I want to go? And the career development roadmap does that using 5 elements or pillars, if you like. The first one is we look at the target role, and we'll do a full discussion and demo of this. You then look at what skills will be required in the future for that role. You look at what behaviors you will need to do that role successfully. What does your personal brand need to look like? And what kind of networking and relationships are you going to need? And we believe, and I've found from my coaching, I do a lot of career development coaching. I found that when coachees get those 5 things taped, as we say, or well understood, they accelerate themselves into their target role. And that's why we're going to go through these today, how you can approach this and how you can use AI to help you do this. And why it's completely necessary to use AI to do this, because the number of roles and the changes, as Jeff said, are getting so big in the future that one old career advisor cannot tell you how to make those changes anymore. You really have to use AI, a computer, to show you and to look at all of the options available to you. It's just too complicated, I believe, for a human being to do, and it's going to get worse and worse. So those people who are not using AI to plan their careers in the way we're going to show you this afternoon, I think they'll be at a distinct disadvantage. So I just want to echo Jeff's incredibly important point and well put point, that the fact that you are here this afternoon immediately suggests that you are the kind of person who is interested in exploring new ways and new techniques for finding your new role and plotting your way forward. So well done to you. So what we'll do is there are those 3 phases, and what we'll do in each phase, I'll just briefly give you the concept of the phase. I'll then interview Nicole. We'll almost have, it'll be like a bit of a coaching session in how she applied it to her career as head of people analytics at NASDAQ. We're then going to show you this persona we've made, who's sort of a persona, a bit of a real person. I'll tell you more about Sarah. And why it's 1, 2, 2, 4 rather than 3, 4. There you are. And then we'll have a bit of an exercise for you to reflect on your own career path as you move forward. So let's start with the first phase, which is where do I want to go? And this is all about defining your target career destination. And it's quite tricky sometimes coming up, defining your own target career destination. Where do you want to go? There are so many options for you, and you'll see towards the end, we have another framework to help with this. But let's assume for the purpose of this that you have a rough idea what next role you want. It might be a promotion. It might be a complete move to another industry or another sector, etc. But let's start with that. So Nicole, let's talk about you. I remember when we started our coaching. I can't remember when it was. It wasn't yesterday, was it?
Almost 4 years now.
Oh my God, how
So
terrifying. I'm 4 years older. Okay, 4 years ago, and we started chatting, and we said, Nicole, what do you want to do when you grow up? I can say that because I'm really old. But what was your reaction to thinking about your career moving forward? And what was your target role? And yeah.
yeah, I mean, quite honestly, I didn't know. So I was really drawn to the deep technical statistics, that sort of work. And as we had those conversations, it evolved. And I said, you know what? I really like dealing with the people challenges and the change management. So I think I want to focus more on leadership. And so it was really interesting when I look back at our early conversations, how there was a very clear shift and this evolution into more of a leadership role.
That's quite funny because I remember I was going to say pushing you, but we're not supposed to push coaches, are we? I remember challenging you and saying, Nicole, you're such a great individual contributor. You're a bit of a techie at heart. You love doing the analysis work. I mean, this could have been in sales or in anything. I'm just looking at you as the example. And in terms of defining your role, and I thought you were more of an individual contributor than a leader. Maybe I was projecting because I'm not a leader's bum, as they say in the UK. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that live, but I'm more of an individual contributor. I love working one-on-one with people like you. But I mean, what was your reaction when I said, Nicole, think very carefully about changing your status from individual contributor to leader?
Right. Well, I like a challenge. And so I think as we talked about it, what I actually realized that I enjoyed was problem solving. And so there are no more complex problems than people problems. So getting people aligned, getting people to focus on a strategy. And that was something that I found to be really motivating and engaging. And I feel that you definitely challenged me, but I remember I came back and, I pushed back. And I think that's the importance of working with a coach that will challenge you and have you push back. And I really had to, kind of prove that this was the direction that I wanted to go into. This wasn't just a flight of fancy, and I leaned into it.
That sounds like me. I love encouraging my my coaching clients to. I put forward something and I say, "You'll never be able to do that. Prove to me that you can," which actually makes them work very hard to prove to me that, in fact, they can do it, and they do it, and you exceeded that. Okay. And did you know what skills would be required for leadership and the behaviors and the brand and all that good stuff? What did you know? What did you know what you needed to do? What needed to change?
Didn't. And so we definitely spent some time on talking about that. So, what do good leaders do? What are some of the behaviors that I needed to focus on? I did a lot of reading. So, I really kind of shifted from studying a lot of the technical books that I was focused on to picking up a lot of books around leadership and change management. And that made such a big difference for me.
Yeah, I remember that transition where I said, well, you once showed me a book on social science research and qualitative research, and I said, you're going to have to, make some time to read all of those leadership type books. And you did, in all fairness. You dug into it, and you reap the rewards. Okay, so that gives you an idea of the kind of discussions that you should be having with yourself, or your coach, or AI, come to that, in how to plot moving forward. So let's talk a little bit about this case study of mine. It's a person by the name of Sarah Chen. Now, this is a true story, actually, about Sarah. I've changed the name. I did a really interesting project creating recruitment and selection processes globally for a rat catching company called Rent-A-Kill Initial. And I created all of these selection questionnaires and competency surveys and psychometric tests and so on. But when you're doing these things as a psychologist, you want somebody to test them. So I gave all of these things to the HR team. And I said, hey, folks, won't you pretend that you are applying for the sales jobs? They were for sales roles that we were recruiting for. And I said, won't you try doing all of these tests? And the HR people, including Sarah, did the tests. And you know what? They scored so high that I said, why are you people in HR? Why you should be doing the sales, because you're natural. And if you think about HR and the ability to sell, there are a lot of skills in common, and that's kind of why we're using Sarah Chen as a case study. Hey, I'm not telling everybody in HR go into sales. You have to choose what role you want. But you'll see how we illustrate this using ChatGPT as an example. So that's Sarah. Her career transition role is that after all of this stuff, she was already quite senior, so she was ready for a leadership role. And her target role was regional sales director in some sort of B2B software as a service over about an 18 to 24 months timeline. And you can read a little bit yourselves there just to get an idea of Sarah before we start putting her through her paces using AI. And I'm going to give you the prompts, by the way. They're all available for you to download at the end of today's session. So that's Sarah. And her challenge was, how do I leverage my talent acquisition experience to land a regional sales director role? And let's have a look now at how do we use Gen AI to help Sarah map her transition. And you'll see, I'll put in a resume. Oh, we need to add the resume to the downloads, I realize. So the prompts that I'm going to show you now, the first prompt is this one about looking at the future. So the first prompt is all about creating your strategic career destination, defining your target role with clear building blocks, and delivering. You'll see that the prompt will deliver us a great role definition, the required skills for that role, success behaviors, the brand, and the network priorities. However, it's up to you to challenge what ChatGPT tells you. Don't just take it. Ask questions. As Nicole said, we were chatting about this yesterday. As Nicole said, these are not prompts. These are ways of talking to AI. So don't think of it as prompting. Think of it, if I was talking to a person, what would I say to that person? And so that's how we're going to approach this. So let's, without further ado, let us move on to close this document. And here is the prompt. So this document is available for you to download at the end of the session. By the way, you see it's got the whole framework, everything that goes into it. And so we're doing phase 1. So all you have to do literally is to take this prompt and copy it into ChatGPT. And I'm going to do that right now. Praying that the machine doesn't freeze up again, in which case Nicole will take it over. So I've got Perplexity open for some reason. I actually need ChatGPT. just go back here. I did have it open. I'm going to open it again. Right. So I'm literally going to take what I copied there, and I'm going to paste it into ChatGPT, and you can get the idea of sort of what, you can read the prompt in your own time. But, I love talking to AI like it's a person, because that's how you get the absolute best results from it. So it says, you are careerly a warm, intelligent, and strategic Gen AI career coach, etc. And it'll do all of those things that I showed you here in the presentation. So it'll create this direction. It'll ask us who we are. So let's do that without further ado. Okay, well, it's not Max, so it's supposed to be calling me Sarah, but never mind. It says, what's my full name? So I'm going to change it. It knows I'm Max because it's my ChatGPT. So I'm going to say I am Sarah Chen. You say I am Sarah Chen, and I'm looking to move into a B2B regional sales director role in SaaS. So I'll just answer those questions. Thank you, Sarah. We'll present on that. Now, this is an abbreviated version of the prompt that we actually use, and I'll show you a snippet of how we do it in the real thing. This is just a prompt to demonstrate, even an abbreviated version, how incredibly powerful ChatGPT can be. So just, I'll let you read through, but it gives a sector outlook for SaaS.
And one thing that I found, I found this to be very
Nicole,
helpful,
please.
Max, because it wasn't just the role focus. I like that it also brings in this industry focus as well.
Absolutely. You see, certain industries are going to be better for you than others, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, and you're going to be attracted to those things. And that's what I find fascinating about the use of generative AI, but certainly ChatGPT in this instance. The fact that it gives you such a full response, it gives you a real holistic way to look at the bigger picture, which is the way our brains typically operate anyway. The thing that always ever frustrated me about getting narrow guidance about a particular direction or the way I was thinking or whatever the case was that it wasn't kind of informed by my broader environment.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is super helpful.
And you'll see that we built into that prompt asking about, thanks, Jeff. We built into that prompt asking what is the likely impact of AI on your future role? Is it going to bring you down? Is it something that you've got to watch out for? And you can ask, further questions. So you can see it gives out a coaching. So it gives the target role definition. It tells you what are the typical responsibilities in the role that you're talking about. The ideal organization. It gives you all of that. But I love chatting. I love chatting to ChatGPT. So you can see there's a whole bunch, and you can put this in yourself. You've got the sheet. You're welcome to put that in, and I'll add the what you'll see coming up in a second as well. So let me say, what other sectors should I be considering? Excellent question. It's a nice thing about ChatGPT. Always makes you feel fantastic about yourself.
Yeah, so affirmational, isn't it?
Yeah.
Goodness.
I mean, this stuff is gold.
It is.
For a human being, for a professional career coach to be able to pull up this amount of information about your future, I would say is impossible in 2025, and it'll be less possible in 2026, 2027, moving on. This will soon be the only way that you'll be able to do your career planning and asking all of these what-if questions. any burning question you want to ask, Nicole? It's giving quite long answers. We could ask it to go shorter, but I think, Nicole, you kind of like the longer answers, don't you?
I do, because I'm someone who likes to challenge and push back and question. And so what happens for me is as I kind of see the responses, it sparks a new question for me. So this example around adjacent sectors, it's something that I would ask because again, you have to think really broadly. You have to think of it as really in a systemic way. So in my personal experience, even when you're thinking about culture fit, each of these different sectors, they probably have different types of cultures within those organization. So you really need to sometimes think more broadly than your role, but really think about the type of environment that role sits in, so you can actually dig in and start to question that.
So won't you, in a conversational way, what's the question? I thought we might put that to ChatGPT. So what is it? It's something about, tell me about culture and sector, or something like that. What's is it as simple as saying what cultures might be toxic, or is it more positive than that?
I might say something like, I'm primarily interested in learning more about cybersecurity. What types of organizational cultures are predominant within that sector?
It's good a job as a typist, eh?
As you're doing that, just had a question pop up and said, do you recommend ChatGPT, or are there other AI tools, sorry, that you might suggest?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I personally, it's horses for courses, I believe is the English expression. So I like Claude when I'm dealing with high volumes of text. But when it comes to tasks like planning, ChatGPT is really, really good. For example, we designed the session today. I asked Claude to do it initially, Anthropic Claude, and it gave such a complicated, convoluted session for you. And then I asked ChatGPT to look at what Claude had done. And ChatGPT kind of said, that's rubbish here. Let me give you a much simpler way of expressing these ideas. Which is what we've got now. So that's a great question. You really need to get to know which ones do what. But if you're not a specialist, I would consider myself a specialist in AI. I would say as a general purpose for this kind of work, ChatGPT is absolutely fine. But keep an eye open because they change regularly. Sometimes, like Claude is coming out with a new version in the next week or two. Who knows? It might be better. It's a really fast changing field. I would say, and I've gone on record for saying this, I would say that if you do nothing else for your career, learn Gen AI. I know Nicole agrees with me, and I know Jeff agrees with me. No matter whether you're in HR, marketing, physics, become a Gen AI expert. Gen AI is not about prompting, really. I mean, it looks like we've done some fancy prompting here, but when you read those prompts, you'll think, but if I was talking to a person, that's what I would have said to a person when I was chatting about it. So,
yeah.
It
is not rocket science. It is very learnable, and there are plenty of free
it's
online
problem solving by another name. Yeah,
it is quite.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Jeff. I got your note about time. I think we're good. I think we're good. I think we're
cool. Good.
All right. So Nicole, to your question about cultures, I mean, any thoughts on the answers there, or just, does it look sensible to you?
This is totally sensible for me. And what I think is, interesting is, let's say you've gotten to the point where you've narrowed down a specific company, you can actually pull in data around that company. So looking at things like their About Us page, newsletters, press releases, and you can actually use ChatGPT to analyze that information and help you do a culture assessment based on what they're presenting. And then you could even compare it
You
against
mean
this.
for a particular company?
For a particular company.
So give me an
Exactly.
example of a company, and I'll just quickly do that. I know Jeff wants us to move on to phase 2, but
That's all right.
let's say I'm just going to try and keep this impersonal. I used Rent-A-Kill as an example earlier, right? So I'm going to say, do a web search, and tell me what people say about the culture at Rent-A-Kill Initial. I hope there's no one at Rent-A-Kill today from here. Well, I hope there is as well.
Hopefully it's a positive answer.
Well, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Overall rating. Look at that. You see, so
Oh, wow,
before
look
you
at
go
that.
in for a role, you get a whole, and that's not even a deep search, by the way. I don't know how much you folks know about it, but if you've got a paid account, which is what you'll need if you want to come and do our beta workshop, which we'll talk about, you've got this additional facility here. You see where my cursor is, deep research, where we can actually, it'll go away for 20 minutes or more sometimes and do a seriously deep search. Yeah, it can also access your whole hard drive if you want to. So if you've got files and any psychometric tests and coaching and stuff, it can pull all of it, can automatically search your Google Drive or your OneDrive or whatever it is. So really powerful. Okay, let's take Jeff's advice and move on to phase 2. So this was all about, now you've got an idea of what are the skills. That was the fundamental question. What are the skills, behaviors, networking, branding that you need to do in order that you will need for your target role? Can't tell us how to get there because it doesn't know who we are yet, and that's what we're going to do in the next phase. I just mentioned to you that we will be running a beta workshop where we'll be testing the full version of these prompts, and we're going to invite you at the end to apply to join that if you want to, absolutely free of charge. Workshops will be payable at some point in the future, but while we're developing the beta, we want to make sure it's perfect before we take it to market. So we will be inviting people to come and join the beta, to apply to join the beta. We're looking for 10 people. So the difference between what you've just seen in terms of the prompt, which as you saw was pretty good, just as it was, the beta and the full version of the prompts, you get a pre-phase where it looks at your values and what is your purpose in life. There's nothing worse than being in a job that doesn't match your purpose, and your values and what you want to do. You're going into work every day to do something that really isn't what you stand for in this world. Gives you step-by-step advice, deeper insights, expert coaching. You do a SWOT analysis on the market. So what are the threats in the role that you're looking for? Very deep analysis of the threats so that you make a good decision. For those of you, if you've got families and kids, for example, or you're planning to have them, really important to get a job that's going to bring in the income, because you're going to be paying for college, you're going to be paying the mortgage, you're going to be paying for meals. You want to be very sure that the job and the market that you're going to is validated and is not going to let you and ultimately your family down. There'll be 10 people, so it'll be a 10-person group. There'll be peer support from other people. You'll be supporting each other. And we'll do it as 3 live sessions over 4 weeks. So that'll be phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. We may have a phase 4. Not a phase 4. We might have a 4th session just to talk about what we've learned from you and fixing any errors in the prompts, because they're bound to be errors, etc. And as it says there, it's free for the beta testers. Right. Moving on, well, just before we move on quickly, would you like just to take 30 seconds or 1 minute after looking at the future and just think of yourself in 3 or 5 years' time? Close your eyes and think about one role or project or reputation that you'd love to grow into. If you fancy sharing it in the chat, you're welcome to. If it's private, that's great. Just write it down for yourself. What I'm trying to do is to encourage you into a future orientation here, just to think a little bit about it. So I'll shut up for 30 seconds, which is difficult for me, as you can tell. And just think about it. Activate your mind. Yeah. Okay, I agree with you 100%. So I have a system prompt that I often use for ChatGPT. which I'm happy to share with anybody that wants it. If you contact me on LinkedIn or something, I'll send it to you, which makes it into a much harder person. That said, I haven't yet found that that agreeableness, or sycophancy as they call it, has actually diminished the quality too much. Sure, sometimes if I've had a bad idea, it still tells me, that's okay, Max. But I haven't found that it does it too often. And in any case, when you ask the question to ChatGPT, you should say to it, please don't be afraid to criticize my idea, or ask for criticism. I regularly ask for criticism. Same as Nicole. You see, it's just like human relationships, what Nicole and I were saying earlier. Nicole and I conflict in the nicest ways. I'll say, Nicole, I don't think that's you. And like ChatGPT should be doing, should be saying, Nicole, I don't think you should do that. And she'll push back and say, I think you're wrong, Max. I think I should be doing it. It's like, so use ChatGPT as a sounding board. But Kay, your point is very well known, and very well taken, what you've said. Do ask LLMs in general, not just ChatGPT. They're all pretty sycophantic, to push back and say, usually, by the way, what I do is I'll say, give me the pros and cons. Maybe we'll do that on the next round, since you raise it. That's such a good point. Okay, moving swiftly on. So the next phase, we've now looked at where you want to go. But in order to get there and to make a plan, we need to work out, where am I now? So let's have a quick look at that. So Nicole, when we looked, tell us a little bit about when we started. I said, who are you, Nicole? What is this woman? Who is this woman standing before me? What are you all about in terms of your behaviors and your skills? And you look like a techie to me, Nicole. Prove to me that you have other stuff going on. What did you do?
This was really interesting to me because I know this is true for myself, and I'm sure it's probably true for other people as well. Sometimes the way that you think of yourself isn't always the way that other people see you. And I think Max's comment just kind of serves that up on a platter. So I saw myself as like, hey, yeah, I'm a techie, but I'm also a people person. And it really gave me pause. I had to really think about, well, how do other people see me? And what am I giving off, when it comes to, am I just talking in a very technical way? Am I not focused more on strategy? And so we really deep dive across all of these levels to understand what that perception was like. How am I communicating that when it comes to my brand, both internally and externally as well?
What do you think your brand is internally, and internally in the first instance?
Yeah, so I mean, I can say that now just because we've done a lot of this work, and I've done a lot of work internally with having conversations around people around how I am seen, and I would say that one of the things that I did when we were working through this is I actually used verbatims from people to help, so that I'm a very effective at change management. That this is going to sound, I feel like I'm humble bragging right now.
No, 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 no. You have to be honest, if nothing
Yeah,
else.
but yeah,
Pretend
just
pretend you're Californian.
that I'm very effective at, change management, that people enjoy working with me, that, they enjoy brainstorming, that I bring, fresh ideas. And I am known for that positive conflict, as you said, because it goes back to that problem solving. So I'm okay with healthy conflict. Let's have a debate around it and let's kind of work through. And that is something that I've become known for.
Yeah, I remember hitting you with a battery of psychometric tests, didn't I? Before we started, just to get to know your five
Yeah.
factor. I think you did a strengths finder off your own bat. Your learning
It,
styles. We looked at your
yeah.
learning. Are you more theoretical, or do you learn by doing, or do you learn by listening? Um, and that really gives you an idea of who you are, so that you can work up, or what do I have to change for the leadership role? From moving from sort of techie individual contributor to a leadership role, what are the aspects of myself that I'm going to need to work on to do that, and which is very interesting.
Interesting.
Okay,
Hmm.
cool. So let's have a look at Sarah. We've got the advantage with Sarah that we have her resume. obviously her resume isn't going to have her personal branding in it, and it's not going to have her social, not going to have her network in it. It might have some behaviors and skills, etc. But for the purpose of this demonstration today, we're going to ask ChatGPT to extrapolate. In the full version, it's got quite a hectic, interactive questioning about your network, about your brand, about who you are. So without further ado, let us move into doing Sarah's phase 2. So where is Sarah now? So I'm going to go down to auditing the present. I'm doing it in the same conversation as the last one. If it's really long, as you'll see in the full version, we encourage you to actually use separate conversations for that. Oh, my machine's getting very slow again, Nicole.
And then what I ended up doing there was I just created a project in ChatGPT, which you could do in Claude as well, to break down the sections.
Yeah.
Which I found that to be helpful.
Which is why we are going to say, if you want to do the beta version, you're going to need a paid version of ChatGPT. It's only about, what is it, 20 quid a month now,
20 quid
something
a
like
month.
that.
Yeah, it's nothing compared to what you get.
You know, and you can just take it for 1 month for the purpose of this, because it gives you what Nicole was talking about there, which is projects, which is
Indeed.
quite important. So I'm going to copy that.
Just a quick note about projects. As you save different documents or different searches and inquiries and so forth into one project, what's brilliant about that is that ChatGPT will use the entirety of everything saved in there, basically as context for your continued searches. And so you don't have to kind of re-explain yourself every time you launch something.
Exactly. You see, so all of the project documents are available to every conversation in the project, but we'll teach you that kind of stuff. Sorry, my light's gone off. We'll teach you that kind of stuff in the beta for those of you that sign up for that. Okay, so there you can see what I've done is I've put in the prompt. So it starts the same way, just in case we were in a different conversation, but this one's not long enough to warrant that. And it's going to do a deep dive analysis of Sarah in all of those 5 areas, the role, skills, behaviors. But now we're looking at Sarah at the moment, which is why I've attached Sarah's resume. The resume is pretty much what I showed you in that earlier slide when we described Sarah. So let's let that run, give you a flavor. And with any luck, it might ask some questions to get information that it doesn't have. But again, you have to do a lot of the work and encourage it, like, you know, ask the additional questions. So it does quite a good analysis of her. Notices, for example, she's got no direct P&L or sales team leadership.
Yeah, this is powerful, right? Because I think we all have our own sense of who we are in our minds,
Yes.
and we carry that around as sort of our own framing and our own, I guess, our what we think is our mirror image. When in truth, to Nicole's earlier point, what people see, who we engage with in various guises, can often be extraordinarily different, and that can be the difference between your ability to kind of achieve your ambitions and to get into the career that you wanted to, and not. So it's super important, obviously, that you spend time kind of really looking at this level of detail.
Absolutely. So there's a kind of a synopsis of Sarah, of where she is now. You can do really interesting things. You say, you know, do you know, I mean, if I look at the 5-factor personality test, do you know the 10-question 5-factor personality test? Can you give it to me, for example?
Wow.
I mean, it's really cool. So you can, you know, I'm not going to go through it now, but you can give any psychometric tests You can pretty much validate it, by the way. You can do learning styles, you can do all sorts of things, which to me is just amazing.
Yeah. That level of navel gazing, especially with validated tests and things of that nature, especially if you can kind of keep it within the confines of ChatGPT, is phenomenally valuable.
Yeah.
I say that from my own personal experience. You learn a lot about yourself. Yep.
Agreed. Yeah, and you
And
can
I
sort of
think,
say, sorry, Nicole.
oh, sorry. And I was just going to quickly just, add on to what Jeff said is that really a key objective of this whole process is to learn about yourself and infuse that learning and thinking into your planning and just really moving
Yes,
with clarity.
absolutely. I mean, you could get it to ask you, because this version doesn't go heavily into the networking, because it got everything from the resume, whereas in the full version, it would ask you about it. But you could say, what do you need? What do you need to know about my current network to help understand me now? Kay, there's your excellent question. Excellent question, Sarah. So positive. Excellent. Who are your internal allies or sponsors? So it's starting to actually derive some of the questions from the fuller version, but you can pretty much do it yourself. Okay.
Yeah, it's great having this as a resource. It's night and day.
And I will say for me, as someone who tends to be more introverted, the network piece was illuminating, right? It just really helped me understand what I could be doing more, again, both internally and externally, and what are ways that I could do that, network that feels authentic.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. And also in terms of personal brand. Yeah, we could go on about those for hours, but this gives you a flavor. So far we've had a look, a very brief look, I grant you, which is why, by the way, during the beta, there will be an entire 2-hour session just on your future phase where you'll be working together to go through the prompts to give yourself a really good idea. So moving on now, we've looked at where do we want to go? We've looked at where are we now? The next one is the really interesting one. It's where the rubber hits the road, as they say. How do we get from this that we've just seen, phase 2, to where we want to be in phase 1 in each of those areas? So let's have a quick chat about that in terms of Nicole. So this gives you an idea. So those of you who will be doing the beta, you'll get this additional kind of material there. Okay. So before we move on to phase 3, can I do that 30-second pause again and just think to yourself, what is one skill or behavior that you're great at but haven't fully named or owned yet? Just reflect on yourself. It's so important to know yourself well to get into a role that will truly make you happy, so that your life feels like it has meaning. Don't want to get all heavy about this, but you don't want to be the person at the end of the day who looks back and says, gosh, I wish I'd done something else. Truly, this will help you to avoid that situation. So just take 30 seconds. What skill or behavior are you great at but haven't fully named? And can I suggest that whatever you're writing down now and whatever you wrote down for phase 1, if you decide that you want to try these prompts, the ones that we'll be giving out the link for at the end of the session, be sure to put that in and tell it to ask you about those things. Okay, let's move on. Right, the next phase is the important one. How will I get from here to there? from phase 2 to phase 1, if you like, working backwards. So this is all about creating a strategic roadmap to bridge the gap from where you are to where you want to be. So, Nicole, lucky Nicole. So we had a pretty good idea of who you were and where you wanted to go. I would say 2 or 3 months into our sessions. God knows what we've done for 4 years. But we keep moving you up and up, don't we? But we had a fairly good idea of where you wanted to go and who you were. I got to know you very well. What was some of the stuff in moving from here to there for you?
Yeah, so one of the things actually, this is we actually didn't even talk about this in the prep for the sessions, but one of the things that we did right off the hop was like you told me I needed to start presenting at conferences, which is something that I never had even thought to do, was just not in my mind. And so immediately that was something that you helped me with, was targeting the right conferences and then working on presenting at those conferences and just really telling impactful stories to engage the attendees. So
Yeah,
that
that's right.
actually
We critiqued your presentations to death, didn't we? I said
we
you got to
did.
start. No, I said that's not interesting. Tell it again,
We
so it's interesting. Oh yeah, I remember that.
We did. And it's true. And I would say that's the benefit, right? So like to Kate's point about, the sycophancy, Max is not a sycophant. So he will definitely tell me if it's something that
Don't
I'm
tell my mother
doing
that. Yeah.
needs refinement, right? And so I would say just that those projects in and of itself really covered a lot of the blocks here, right? So focusing on the technical, because if you're going to a conference, you can't just bring sort of your run-of-the-mill analysis. You have to bring something that's innovative. As part of that, it's again presenting in front of larger groups. That also helped me to both build my brand and also my network. So just, again, meeting with other presenters, other attendees, and just staying really on the pulse of what was happening in the industry.
So for you, for example, one of the things from getting from here to there is that you needed to do more presentations. So in terms of, again, that rubber hitting the road, has that served you well? Did the roadmap give you good advice? Was it a good idea for you to be presenting at more conferences?
100%. So that benefited me in two ways. One, presentation skills, no matter what role you're in, they are crucial. You need to help engage your audience. Essentially, again, any role, you're selling yourself. So if you're trying to get a promotion or if you're trying to get a new job, you need to be able to speak in a very compelling way. So that was a very important skill for me to be able to develop. It was also helpful from a networking perspective. So, meeting with other people analytics leaders and just understanding what they were doing within their organizations. And the conversations are very different when you're speaking with a peer versus when you're coming as an attendee. So, you're getting a little bit more of the inside track. So, having this experience really just kind of catapulted me, in a sense, to the next level.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the idea is to look at where you were. It clearly identified that you needed to improve your visibility, if you like, in terms of brand, and you embrace that, and it's amazing. You are now kind of a sought after speaker at conferences, which you didn't expect. I have to laugh, Nicole. I hope you don't mind me saying, but the first presentation, because I asked you to record them for me before you went on stage. I remember you sent me the first
I love
recording,
the
and
story.
you were like a deer in headlights, weren't you? You had this guy, you were staring at the camera saying, "Hello, I'm
It was
Nicole."
it was so rehearsed and unnatural. It was horrible. But I love that we can laugh about it to this day because it was
But
just
look at you
really that
now,
bad.
you're so relaxed,
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Okay, so let us move on to dear Sarah. So let's have a look at, so what we're going to do now is converting the insights from phase 1 and phase 2 into an action plan. Compares where you are to where you want to be, does a gap analysis is the key here, and delivers a 90-day bridge play. You can change it to whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to be 90 days. So without further ado, see if I can copy this. Word is really slow when you're using Zoom, but I'm going to try and get this. Let's do it like that. Oh, that's good.
Sorry, Max, as you're doing that, we just had a really interesting question come in, which I think is probably worth for both of you.
You like
actually,
interesting questions.
Yeah, we do indeed. And so the question was, if we assume that ChatGPT or large language models are trained on historic career paths, how can we get them to also provide unconventional or disruptive career possibilities?
You know, that is a whole topic on its own. Who asked that brilliant question?
The lovely Lorna. Yeah.
Lorna,
Yeah.
that is such a hard question. Lorna, if you have a look or send me a note on LinkedIn, I wrote an article about, could we have produced the works of Beethoven using LLMs, etc. You can get LLMs to be creative, even though it's based on historical data. But then we'd have to get into a whole philosophical discussion, because I want to say, Lorna, that you and me, we're all based on historical data. Your memories is only based on what you have and what you've been brought up with and what's been passed on to you by your culture. Now, this could become literally a religious discussion to say, well, there is a ghost in the machine, and I don't want to get into that, whether there is a ghost or not in the machine. But if you accept that we are the product of our culture, we are the product of our upbringing, of our friends, of everything around us, then where did Beethoven come up with the idea to write the Fifth Symphony and all of these artists who do wonderful creative work? And in business, where does the creative work come from? I believe that it's all about combining ideas from different domains. So you would say, I want to combine work if you want to be creative. And I'll tell you where I did this recently at an insurance company. They wanted innovation. Okay, I'll tell you exactly how I did it. So this, an insurance company, quite a large specialty insurer, as they call them, was looking for innovative ways to use AI that its competitors were probably not doing. And we done a look at the market and had a look at the kind of thing, and nobody was doing anything really clever with AI. So the question is, can AI be innovative? Oh, actually, I've written an article as well on innovation and AI, but that was more for people analytics. Anyway, what I did was I said, imagine that you are a butcher looking at this problem. How would you apply AI to insurance? Imagine that you're a musician. Imagine that you're an artist. What you do is you ask the question from the perspective of multiple domains. And I believe that that's what creativity is at its essence. So when I said this is a long discussion, because you may agree with me or you may push back on me, and I think I can defend my position, but in its essence, anything that you can do, you can get ChatGPT to do, but it requires you to think really hard. How can I get ChatGPT to do that? And there's a really good article, by the way, that came out yesterday about certain kinds of people. They're almost on the spectrum. I feel like I'm one of them, who speak naturally to ChatGPT. Whether that's learnable or not, I don't know. I speak very naturally. I can literally get ChatGPT to sing to me or to do anything I want to do. Nicole, when you started, I think you were kind of slightly apprehensive, weren't you? But now you use it all the time for managing projects, for, anything. I think it's practice, and it's learning to express problems clearly. It's all about problem solving. This is nothing new. Somebody posted the other day 100 problem-solving techniques. If you take each of those techniques and you put them into ChatGPT and say, ChatGPT, create something new using these creativity techniques, like the hats, whatever he's called, the red hat and the blue hat, honestly, you can get it to do that. And if you don't believe me, book a session with me, a one-on-one session, if you like. because we won't be able to do this in the career workshop because it's too out of scope. And let's have a bit of fun together, making it do something awesomely creative just to prove that it can do it.
And Max, I want to bring another perspective, right? So just looking at it from like sort of the HR people analytics perspective. If you think about how jobs have evolved over time, it's usually not sudden. And I think that Jeff, you alluded to this, kind of at the beginning of the presentation as well. We're going to see a slow shift. So you can start to look at things like the skill. So we're seeing that now, that increasingly jobs are saying that people need to have AI skills. So as the skills shift, then we're going to see the emergence of new jobs. Look at something like, I was reading an article, I forget where it was, but they were referencing the fact that being an influencer is now a job. But if you think about it, if you kind of go back to the introduction of YouTube and people posting content online and then that content being monetized. So if you recognize that AI is really good at pattern recognition, that's just another way that you can use Gen AI to help there. So look at different job descriptions and understand where you're seeing trends when it comes to skills. And then that could potentially tell you what you might see as emerging roles.
And we
Again,
can pick that one we can pick up in the workshop, in the beta workshop, and in subsequent workshops. Yeah, thank you.
Cool.
Just in the interest of time, I'm just looking at moving. But yeah, Jeff, what was that?
No, not at all. I was just
It's
a great discussion. I would love to get deep into it, but yeah, not right now.
cool. Yeah, no, there's too much, isn't there? Okay, so I put in that third prompt about getting from here to there. So all of the information that we gathered about Sarah, where she was, where she wants to go, here is the kind of plan that you get from a fairly simple prompt, in my opinion. This is not even the most sophisticated prompt in the world.
So this is providing a gap analysis between where you are today versus the target role that you have in mind. Okay, got it.
So in terms of the target role, it looks at the gap between her current role as talent acquisition and her chosen target of sales. So it gives her a nice bridge plan, lead a commercial adjacent project to start getting you into your new role, conduct 3 market mapping interviews. In terms of skills, her skills seem to be fairly well aligned. It shows you what's undeveloped or missing.
This is great.
I mean, really, you don't even have to agree with what ChatGPT says. In terms of the sycophantic stuff, the idea is that it gets you thinking. That's really how you should look at it. It's a thinking. Now, when I say things to Nicole, I'm not always right. I mean, I was dead wrong about the individual contributor. But what I did do, which I'm supposed to do as the coach, I made her think. And that's what you should look at ChatGPT, not as being right or the final answer, but how can it help me to think better? I mean, I have a secret prompt that I use, which here I tell you we're running out of time. I don't know if I've got this on Z Auto 1. Oh, it does. Look at, oh no, it's not doing the Z Auto 1. I could probably make it come up. No. Oh no. Well, just critique. I'll just do it in simple English. Critique. This is for you, Kay. Critique your own response and tell me where you could have done much better, just for kicks. It's powerful and rare. See, even then, it's nice to me.
if you need a pick-me-up.
Yeah.
So you see, it knows where it did well. It was consistent. So it says where it did well, and then it says where I missed independence between pillars. So that's pretty cool. You know, and also, Lorna, to your creativity point, you know, you could say that wasn't very creative. Why don't you try another perspective, or imagine that you are the most creative person on earth? You know, and at the end of this, I could say, that's great. That's great. Please implement your ideas. Please implement your ideas and output a revised version of my plan. And I'm not going to stay and wait for it to do it, but I'm just showing you that it literally can. Look at that. So there's your revised plan with the so you see it's kind of critiqued and improved its own work. So moving swiftly on, we could spend hours doing the ChatGPT demo again. So the full version gives you a couple more details, same outputs, but it gives you ongoing guidance, expert help when you get stuck, etc. We've spoken about that. So just your 30-second reflection, because I think we're doing okay on time here, Jeff.
Okay, cool.
Okay, cool. So quick 30-second reflection on your own career and your plans for moving forward. What one small specific action might you take that would move you closer to that future role that you dream about? What one skill could you accelerate? The one probably that you think about a lot and talk about a lot, but don't do.
Why is it we do that to ourselves?
Exactly.
Change is hard.
Change is hard. That's true. Better the devil you know, right? Than the devil you don't. Very good point.
Okay. Think about that. All right. That's the end of the phases. Jeff, I'm not too concerned because the rest of the stuff is fairly quick, actually.
Yeah. I
It's
didn't
really
realize
wrapping
how
up.
long we were.
Folks, all I wanted to say to you is that this assumed that you had a particular target role in mind. All I want to say to you is that we have another framework, which you'll see Nicole is actually testing it in a month or two, which helps you decide what job you should do. That's a bit different. This one assumed you knew the role and told you how to get here. So this one does quite a deep dive into who you are. It looks at your professional interests, personality traits, your values. Much longer. This one is a much longer process, but you know, the value is there. It then combines those and looks at, from all the information that you put in that level 5. Level 4 has a look at what are your achievement patterns, what's your autonomy pattern. In other words, should you be self-employed? Are you suitable for self-employment, or should you remain employed by someone else? What do you like at influencing other people? So that's looking at leadership. What do you like when it comes to risk? You know, should you stay in the role that you know? Should you take a risk, etc.? And then it takes you through what is your readiness to make a move. It looks at what is your strategic career, what are the directions. So are you an internal accelerator? Are you a strategic repositioner? Which of those 6 or 7 areas are you? And then it gives you the plan for how to move from your current role into your planned role. And it's great fun. I've done this. Thank heavens it tells me it told me to do what I'm already doing, which is kind of, you know, consultant, but it's always a blessing. So essentially what we covered today is you've seen the framework, the basic framework, the career development roadmap, the CD roadmap. You've looked at the 3 core prompts, the basic versions of the prompts. We looked at Sarah Chen. We looked at the strategic planning. I mentioned to you that we'll be doing this full roadmap version, which we'll be releasing publicly, and we're going to, you can see it's got a lot of stuff in it. There's about 25 times more comprehensive guidance. That was according to Claude, actually. It's a lot longer, it's a lot more detailed, but the value is much higher. Undoubtedly, you could do it yourself, just playing with ChatGPT in the way I showed you. you can apply at the end. We'll put in a link, and you can apply to we can only choose 10 people. So we'll ask you to just answer some basic questions. It's absolutely free of charge to the 10 person group. It'll either be 3 or 4 sessions to be decided, but probably one per phase. So we can go through the prompts, because there's bound to be a couple of bugs, as I said. And we'll give you the link in the Google form coming up. So what's next? Apply for the strategic cohort to do the beta test if that's of interest. Download the prompt pack. I'll put the link in, and I need to add Sarah's resume to it. So please come back to the link afterwards and do that. Nicole, can you put the link into the chat, please? Do you have it? Otherwise, I can. I'm not worried.
I have it handy.
Can you do it?
I don't think I have it handy on this machine.
Okay, just bear with me 1 second, please. I think I can do
There-
it, ironically, from the one I sent to you earlier. It was roadmap 1, wasn't it? I think.
Let's see.
I was in WhatsApp. I sent it to you.
Okay, I have it. I have it.
Can you put it in the chat?
Yes.
Thank you. And just remind me, I need to put the resume in there as well, because to do phase 2, you really do need to, although you'll be putting in your own resume, hopefully.
Mhm.
You got it in there?
There we go. Yep.
Cheers. Can everybody see that? Okay.
All good.
Yeah?
Nice one. Thanks, Nicole.
Cool. Thank you. Just remind me, I'll put, I might do it before the end of the session. Okay, so over to you, Jeff.
So this is really difficult. I
Yeah.
need to select the winner of Dave Milner's book, Introduction to People Analytics. And so, having said that, I suspect there's probably lots of willing and able and deserving individuals who participated today. And thank you very much for coming along and participating today. It's wonderful to have you. I have had a bit of a chat with a couple of people here. And gosh, I'll tell you what, this is a room full of very smart, very capable folks. And I don't mean to kind of waffle about, but I would love to, if I could, in this particular instance, fair or unfair, go ahead and choose Lorna as the recipient
Nice.
of this. So yeah, so Lorna Deng, basically, who was wonderful in her commentary. So thank you very much for that. Having said that, guys, this is a great book. It's not, and I don't mean to denigrate your gift, Lorna. It is not extortionately expensive, and it's super, super useful. So please do, kind of participate. And it's not a shameless plug. It's just good education, to be perfectly honest. So there we go.
Cool. Thanks very much. Okay. So final, if there are questions, we haven't got a heck of a lot of time but stuff. I just want to make a couple of points here. I kind of alluded to this when we were chatting earlier. Gen AI isn't your replacement. It's your thinking partner. What I mean by that is a lot of people ask ChatGPT to give them a definitive answer for what they're doing. It can do kind of what Google does. And give you specific answers on facts, although, as has been pointed out today, those facts are sometimes questionable and you need to check that. There are ways you can say, are you sure that that's true, and learn to do that. But really, the most valuable way that leaders and people who are going to get ahead in this new AI world is using it as a thinking partner. To give you an example of that quickly, I use ChatGPT's voice mode, which is fantastic. And I use it when I'm, jogging or walking or running. And I chat to it and I say, I'm having a really tough time in this situation, with this client. Or I'm having a tough time at home. Or I'm struggling to learn this new concept. Why am I struggling? I don't say, give me the answer. You know, that would be one thing. You know, I'm struggling in my relationship. I'm struggling with my boss. What should I do? That's not making the best use. It's kind of I'm struggling. You know, how do people generally approach the situation? Almost like you talk to it like a therapist or a counselor, if you like, and say, you know, I'm having this issue. What's your take? And it's that dialogue rather than one boom answer, question, answer, question. You know, don't think of it as you asking questions again, answer. Think of it as a sounding board, somebody that you can reflect your you know, most intimate thoughts about and what's happening in your life and your problems and your career and your money and everything else that you do. Clarity isn't a lightning bolt. It's something you build over those conversations with ChatGPT. Maybe we need to do a session where I actually demo some of that. When you're implementing your plan, remember one decision, one insight, one change at a time. You don't try and do the whole lot. And, you know, we've had some great questions. If there are any other questions, we'd be delighted to take them. So please do that. There are the links. Ah, Nicole, I'll have to put this link in the chat, won't I? Because you don't have this one to hand yet. Sorry. So if you are interested in doing the beta, here is the link to apply for the beta. Just a Google form. So we'd love to see as many of you as we can. If necessary, we might end up running a second beta at some point. So please do join it. You'll see it takes you to a Google form. Mine's opening up in the background.
Good, folks. So we have a couple of minutes. If you have any questions, please do lob them into to the chat, and we'll be happy to kind of get through them for you.
Yeah. There you can see the form.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Terrific.
Cool. Cool, cool, cool.
Additionally, you can come off mute if you want to and just
yeah,
let us
you're
know what's on
welcome
your
to
mind.
speak.
Yeah.
It was a long time in the making, this, Nicole, wasn't it?
It was a lot of testing, a lot of thoughts, a lot of healthy debate. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you were the kind guinea pig tester, as it were. And
Successful, thankfully.
yeah, it was. Well, you know, these things are never perfect. It's like saying, is there a perfect career development coach or
No.
mentor? You know, there isn't. There isn't a perfect one out there. So all you can do is hope to perfect it. And we keep, I mean, that's partly what the beta workshop does. I think we've got all the bugs out of it, that it doesn't say obviously wrong or stupid things to some of the points made earlier. But you can keep improving it as we go along. And I think that's what we want to do in the beta. We want to do it with a group of you who are doing it in real time, in real life, so that you can test it and say, you know, Max, we like that. We don't like the way it asks that. Could we change that, etc.? That's really what we want to learn. And cool. As far as I know, nobody's doing anything like this, by the way.
It seems a bit crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's an obvious,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, the tools are just amazing nowadays. I mean, I kind of think about my own, oh, sorry, hold on. More importantly, we have someone raising their hand. Erwin, if you come off mute, there we go. Go ahead.
Sure. Hi, Max. You know, this would also be a great tool for within a corporation where you could take all the job descriptions and enable people inside to figure out where they could plan their route within that organization.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I hadn't even considered doing that. That would almost be one could almost create an agentic version, but you wouldn't need to. You're right. You're absolutely right, Owen.
It'd be a mini version.
Yeah, yeah. That's true. If anybody wants to test this in the organization, maybe that's an idea, Owen, for another type of beta.
Yeah, and many of those
is a
people
within organization beta. I like that.
Yeah, many people also, the employees wouldn't necessarily own the paid version. So you'd have to kind of slim it down for, if possible, for the other, or
Yeah, on
figure
the
out how
other
to
hand,
solve that.
if it is for an organization, you could far more easily automate it. It would be cost beneficial to automate it
Oh,
and to
yeah.
write it up using what they call LangChain, to use code, and to turn it into an app, because it's not an app at the moment, eh? I mean, at the moment you're using ChatGPT in the way I believe you should. I don't think it should be an app. As I said, I think the conversational stuff is where the value is, but you could, without a doubt, create a version that asks you specific questions, specific answers, specific questions. I like that. Thank you very much. Great,
Yeah,
great idea.
and career development is usually one of the low scoring items in most employee surveys that I've seen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's
so true.
also the one thing that makes people leave.
Yeah. Yeah, because you don't have any future, do you? Makes perfect sense. We got one more question here from Marion.
Thank you,
Um,
Max.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank you,
thanks,
Erwin.
Erwin.
Appreciate that. What about this? She says, assuming that AI advancement will reduce the demand for existing roles, but create the need for new roles, not yet labeled, how can we use AI tools to help us get there? Into the unknown? Question mark. Smiley face.
Yeah. Let me just read that quickly. It's a deep question. Assuming that AI advancement will reduce the demand for new, but creating for new roles not yet labeled, how can we to get there? Oh, well, I mean, there's no doubt about that. We are doing, I am doing that right now. So in terms of what Erwin was saying there is, well, Nicole is doing that in her current job. My answer to that is, I say, what is I do it on a team level, for example. So I was talking to a gaming company the other day, part of Microsoft. I don't know if they're here on the call, but we looked at their quality assurance team. So they said, well, we have this person does that, this person does that, this person does that. And they described to me what the team does in terms of the people that were doing the job. I said, pretend that you haven't formed the team yet. Tell me, what is the goal deliverable of that team? What are the inputs to the team? What are the outputs? Now, don't assume that you'll use people to do that. Tell me what process you would take to get from A to B, and then look at what parts of that process are best done by a person or best done by an AI. So now we've marked the process from left to right. AI, person, AI, and person, AI, AI, da, 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 da. Now we say, where can we put a circle around that to say that's one person's job? That AI plus that task there is a person. So that's how you create these new roles. You don't assume that there are people there to start with, if you like. And that's the error that most organizations are making at the moment. I wrote a post about this not long ago, is that as you all know, automating bad processes is really bad. It just means the errors happen faster. So it's really doing what I suggested, is saying, what is the purpose of this team or this business unit? I've just used the team level, but you could do it for a business unit. Could say, what are the inputs to the business unit? What is this business unit supposed to produce? And how best can that work be done? And I don't just mean that people and AI are the options. There are other options.